Hey everybody, Brandon here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering Game 2 in Tournament number 8. Now I am playing with the white pieces and I am now currently 1 out of 1 and things are good. And I am playing against Josh, who is 1200, who actually later admitted to me I believe he was 1900 online. So that's one issue with Over the Board is a lot of people are stronger than their ratings because you can only do so many tournaments because they're very time consuming to say the least, and they're very energy consuming as well. So you'll play a lot of people that are lower rated and very strong. And my opponent was definitely stronger than me, and we'll see from this game. Though my moves did not help. Now let's see what happened. I played e4, e6, and d4. Now we see d5, and I played knight to c3. This was before my exchange French days, and this was the reason why I was just like, no, let's just go into the exchange French. The great thing about the exchange French is it's so boring that your opponents fall asleep and you win from some small intricacy and they're like, wow, I hate you, and you hate yourself too. So that's what matters. No, okay, but seriously, exchange French. If you're uncomfortable with French positions, it's good to play if you don't want to play those in tournaments, because in tournaments you want to play to your strengths. You don't want to play into your weaknesses. But here I definitely played into one of my biggest weaknesses. We see knight fd7 and f4. This was a line I was just confident about at the time with like knight f3, bishop e3, bishop e2. It just felt comfortable, to say the least. We see c5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to e3. a6 is actually something that surprised me, and I'm not sure why. a6 is a very popular move, but here I was pretty much out of book and I was trying to grapple with the fact that I did not know what I was doing. I played a4. I thought the idea was to play b5 here, but b5 immediately does not make too much sense. Instead, a move like bishop to e2 or knight to e2 makes a lot more sense here. Rather, I played a4. And after queen b6, I was scared because, well, b2 is attacked. Instead, what I should have done is just queen to d2 and give up the pawn, because if they take it, then rook b1, queen a3, and rook to b3 can be some problems here. Although they do have queen to a1 back, but if I really wanted it, then I could take a draw in this position. Okay, so I played rook b1, and this is the start of my downfall. This is not such a great move. Black is definitely better. I just wasted 2 moves here. I played a4 when it was not necessary, and I played rook b1 when it was not necessary, when I should have been focusing on my important pieces like the queen, the knight, and the bishop. Rook b1, c takes d4, bishop takes d4. The thing is, I was scared of knight takes d4 and bishop c5, so I thought bishop takes with d4 was forced, and I already knew I was uncomfortable here because I took with the bishop, and even at this point in my game, I loved playing with the bishop pair, so I would not give up the bishop pair for nothing, and this essentially does, but there's not really too much of an option. And after knight takes, queen takes, the problem is they have bishop c5, and this is already very uncomfortable for me. The only move really is queen to d3, and then black has f6, where if I take it, knight takes, and we see that black is getting a huge advantage here, and black is much better in this position. So things already went wrong for me. I played queen d2, however, and now I'm pretty much just losing. Realistically, this is just, I'm just losing from move 12, which is not, wow, what I wanted to happen. Not what I wanted to happen. Okay, bishop to e3, queen to e2, and they take f4. And now we can see, yeah, I'm just losing. This e-pawn's gonna fall eventually, queen c7, for example. And after I lose the e-pawn, they have a huge center, and they can eventually move that center and get out their weak minor piece. But their minor piece on c8 isn't actually doing anything wrong here. g3, bishop h6, bishop g2, trying to develop at the very least. Castles, knight d1, trying to go like knight f2 so I can castle. Queen a5, knight c3 back, queen to c5, and queen to d3. Now we see bishop g7 and b4. So I'm not really sure what to do here. I'm just trying to get some development where I can maybe play b5, but I decided to castle because I could. knight takes, and bishop takes. I have to move my knight. And I was hoping maybe since I have the f-file open, there's chances, but I'm down 2 pawns. They're central pawns. My opponent has an amazing center. And even as a Caro-Kann player, I would still play black, even though I hate the French defense. But okay, let's continue. Castles, rook to f2, bishop to d7, b5, a takes, and rook a2. c3, so now they're not attacking c2 anymore. Rook f to a8, rook b to f1. So this was my only idea in the position, but realistically, this is losing. Knight d4, queen to c5, bishop to h3. I don't know, maybe there's some sacrifices here, or I can just take the pawn. The whole point is if I can take the pawn, who knows? Maybe some rook f8 stuff will be allowed, but of course this wasn't. Bishop takes d4, and now there aren't any knight takes e6 ideas at the very end as well. Queen takes b5, queen to e3. I can't trade here, even though I'm down 3 pawns. My only chance is to keep things complicated. Rook takes f2, rook takes f2. Whoa, my chair is breaking. Okay, cool. Rook a1, king g2, queen c6, queen to e5. I just don't want to see any e5 and d4s. b5, bishop to g4, rook to e8, h4, b4, h5, f5, h6. The whole point is I'm threatening checkmate, so they can't take my bishop. Rook a7, bishop to h3, even though I should have gone bishop to f3, but already here, again, it's been losing for the entire game, pretty much. Bishop h3, rook to e7, g4, queen c7, queen e2, queen d6, g takes f5, e takes f5, queen to b2, rook to e3, rook f3. I don't want to trade, but there's not really any other option, as queen g3 check will win the bishop. Rook f3, rook e1, rook to f2, queen to e7, queen to d2, queen e4 check, king to g3. As if I go here, then this is very scary to look at. Whether or not it's actually mating, still scary. So didn't want to go for that. So I just went king g3 immediately, but even then, still scary. So queen to e3 check now, and they were able to trade queens. And in this type of endgame, especially after rook e2, this is very easy to win. And I'll just speed through the moves now. Takes. King g1, f2, king f1, bishop d3, king g2, and then they promote. Bishop e2, queen f2, and for style, they checkmate with the bishop. So very, very unfortunate game. The reason why I kind of skimmed over the ending moves there is because this was already just a completely losing position, and there's not really anything to show conversion-wise to teach here. Because when you're down 2, even 3 pawns, the whole thing you have to do is just improve your position slowly. And what we need to focus on are the mistakes of the game and the instructive parts. Unfortunately, the end doesn't have too much instructive parts. My opponent just converted, and converted quite well. But instead, we should talk about what the mistakes were and what we should actually focus on to learn here. And the things we need to focus on for learning is a4 is a waste of time. You need to focus on development in the French defense, especially. And rook to b1 is not helping with development. And in fact, it's impeding development. Moves like queen to d2, bishop e2 are much better in this position. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. And I know this was quite a short game, but again, as I mentioned, there's not really much to go over, as I just made one bad move after another and then got into a losing position. And I tried my best to defend, but my best simply was not enough. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's game, and I will see you guys in game 3, where we play another chess game. So, alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you then.